Good evening, everybody. Welcome on behalf of the Indian section for our Friday evening study class. Before beginning, let's all join together in the universal invocation. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he's also one with every other. Shanti, Shanti. Thank you, everybody. And we are really relieved to have Vibhaji back with us for our Mahatma letter studies because we all know how clearly she explains things. And these letters, very often we feel when we reads it, we don't get the exact background, sometimes the dates, and it's really tough to understand the context of the letters. So I welcome Vibha to start the letters 19 to 25 from the Letters of the Masters of Wisdom, second series. Welcome, Vibhaji.
Right. Thank you so much, Vimalji. And you have praised me so much. It's not like that. Everyone is doing their studies. And I try to bring as much clarity as possible, as much as I can understand from these. So, yes, we are doing these letters, which are from the series, uh, Letters from the Masters of Wisdom, series 2. And these letters, they were transcribed by the then vice president of the Theosophical Society, that is C. Jinraj Das. And they were published in a book form, and the foreword to that book was given by Annie Besant, who was the president of the TS at that time. And Annie Besant was of the opinion that these letters will serve to deepen the sense of reality about our teachers, the Theosophical Mahatmas, the inner founders of the TS. And she says that, and I quote, she says, "May it speak to those who have ears to hear." So, what is written in these letters by the masters? May we understand not only in letter but in spirit. Hmm? May it speak to those who have ears to hear. So, we will begin with letter number 19 and I will continue till letter number 25, maybe in two sessions. And I will share my slides with you. Yeah, I request everyone to please mute yourself. Okay. So this is letter number 19. Now this letter number 19, it is from Master Serapis Bey to Colonel Olcott, and the date and the place is not known. Now we all know Master Serapis Bey, he was a member of the Adept Brotherhood of Egypt, and he belonged to the Ellora section of the Brotherhood of Luxor. Now, Master Serapis and the Egyptian brothers, they were very closely involved in the early days of the Theosophical Society, when the society was still headquartered at New York. Now, we do not know exactly what is the context behind this letter, why it was written, and this letter may really come as a surprise to many. Why? Because the spiritual path, it is the path of purity, and the general thought associated with purity is celibacy. But Master Serapis has presented a diametrical thought in this letter to Colonel Olcott, which is equally pure and equally spiritual. So let us see what he writes. He writes to Colonel Olcott, "Know, O brother mine, that where a truly spiritual love seeks to consolidate itself doubly by a pure permanent union of the two, in its earthly sense, it commits no sin, no crime in the eyes of the great Ein Sof." Now, Ein Sof, we know, is the Kabbalistic term for the Absolute or the Parabrahma. Parabrahma, he represents the ultimate, the indescribable reality before it becomes manifest. So, Ein Sof is the supreme divinity. Now, regarding man, the ultimate goal of man is to unfold his spiritual nature and to manifest his divinity. So, for this, he has to give up the desires of his lower nature, of his personality, and he has to unfold the nature of his soul. Now, soul has no gender. Nature of soul is love, spiritual love, which is a universal principle, unconditional and selfless. This spiritual love is rooted in the realization of the fundamental unity of all existence and the inherent divinity in every soul. That is spiritual love. So it is from this sense of spiritual love that Master says that this love, it can be consolidated on the earthly plane also as a permanent and pure union without the sense of sin or crime in the union of man and woman. Even from the standpoint of the supreme divinity, Ein Sof or Parbrahma, such a union is not a crime. Why? Because for it is but the divine repetition of the male and female principles, the microcosmal reflection of the first condition of creation. This is what Master has written in his letter. So he is referring to this microcosmal creation and the first condition of creation of macrocosm. Now, microcosm, we know it is man. Man is the microcosm, and this whole creation, this cosmos, it can be taken as the macrocosm. So, this law of reflection, as above, so below, it holds good between this macrocosm and the microcosm. Now, what is the first condition for creation, for manifestation? The first condition for creation of the macrocosm is that the one reality it has to and it does polarize as spirit and matter. So, unity becomes a duality. One reality polarizes as spirit and matter. The manifested universe, it is nothing but a play of this spirit and matter. The union of Purush and Prakriti. Purush and Prakriti, the terms are used in Bhagavad Gita also. By this same law of reflection on the earthly plane, the union of a spiritually evolved man and woman, it can give birth to offsprings who are also spiritually elevated souls. Okay, see, when a soul is born, it takes birth. It is said that the soul chooses the place, family, parents he wants to be born to. And he chooses in such a way that he can carry out the work for which he is taking birth. Okay, even in our Puranic stories of the Hindu tradition, there have been great rishis who were householders, they were married, and among them, I can give some references. Sage Vashishtha, whose wife is Devi Arundhati, Rishi Atri, whose wife is Devi Anasuya. Okay, so there have been rishis who are householders, and these rishis they had offsprings who also became great rishis. For example, we just mentioned Rishi Atri. So, sons of Rishi Atri are Lord Dattatreya and Rishi Durvasa. The sons of Rishi Bhrigu, they are Chavan Rishi and Shukracharya, and so on. Okay, so we have many examples of these. And Master further says in his letter, on such a union, angels may well smile, but they are rare, brother mine, and can only be created under the wise and loving supervision of the Lodge, in order that the sons and daughters of clay might not be utterly degenerated, and the divine love of the inhabitants of higher spheres, that is, angels, towards the daughters of Adam be repeated. Now, let us try to understand what Master is saying here. The sons and daughters of clay, it pertains to the men and women of earth. Earthly union, it can quickly degenerate into pleasure of flesh. That is the lower carnal nature of man. But Following the spiritual path under the direction, under the guidance of the Great White Lodge, the soul can be elevated and it can open up to the divine love of the higher spheres. Okay? Daughters of Adams, it refers to women of the earthly plane. Now consider the context of this letter. It is from Master Serapis. Master Serapis was a high adept of the Brotherhood of Luxor, that is in Egypt. Now, in Egypt, you look at the ancient history, the pharaohs were initiated into the ancient Egyptian mysteries. So much so, they achieved a high degree of spiritual development that they were considered semi divine. They became an intermediary between the human and the divine. Okay, pharaohs, they were considered semi divine. Now, Theosophy teaches us that there was a time in the distant past when divine or highly evolved beings, sometimes referred to as gods, they actually walked among men and they guided the early humanity. So here Master is using the term angels to refer to the beings of the higher sphere and their divine love towards the daughters of Adam. That is the earthly plane. Okay, on the earthly plane, their divine love may be repeated. So they may bear divine offsprings. Now, this is not unheard of, and it is quite possible. We read in the Mahabharata, Maharani Kunti, okay, the queens of King Pandu, that is Maharani Kunti and Madri. They bore offsprings who were the sons of Devas. Yudhishthir has been born from Dharmaraj or Yam. Bhim was from Vayu, the wind god. He is called Pavanputra. Arjun was from Indra, the king of gods. And the twins Nakul and Sahadev, they were from by the Ashwini Kumars. So such stories are there in our kathas, Puranic kathas and Hindu tradition also. So these things are quite possible. And Master is saying the same thing here, that the same divine love, it may be repeated now under the supervision of the Great White Lodge. But he adds that even such must suffer before they are rewarded, meaning that they must endure the trials and the tribulations of the lower nature before it can be purified. Man's Atma may remain pure and as highly spiritual while it is united with its material body. Why should not two souls in two bodies remain as pure and uncontaminated,
आणि
notwithstanding
पहिल्यांदा
the
घेऊन ती
earthly passing union of the latter
होतं.
two?
आता सगळं व्यवस्थित आहे. हे बंद करतो.
Please, mute yourselves, everyone.
So, what we need to realize here is that it is the intent and the motive of the mind which determines purity of action. Mind, that is the human soul. So, Master Serapis is emphasizing the fact that mind or human soul, it can remain pure even through physical union of two bodies, but by realizing the divine or the spiritual love. Just like, for example, the Atma always remains pure. The Atma is never sullied, even while it is embodied. So, in the same way, the human soul or the mind can also remain pure. And that is the end of this letter. There are some extracts from the letters which are given as ABC, and let's go through them. The first one is the law of compensation can reward but those who have resisted the cruel sting of earth-born desires. Where there is no temptation, the merit of withstanding its feeble voice is null and cannot claim its reward. So, law of compensation, we know it is closely related to karma. It is the principle of balance and reciprocity in life. So, this law, it suggests that life balances adversity with advantage. For example, if a person is having blindness, then perhaps he might be compensated by having some other unique strength. Like he might have a keen sense of hearing, or perhaps he possesses clairvoyant ability. Okay, so there is this law of balance and reciprocity. Previously, Master said, but even such must suffer before they are rewarded in the previous slide. What it means is that people who are tormented by earthly desires, and they not only resist these temptations, but they also overcome it by listening to their inner voice and exertion of will. So they have earned their just reward. They will be compensated, because they have strengthened their will, they exerted their will, and they followed that discipline, they overcame temptation, so they will be compensated. But if there is no temptation, there is no desire, then the role of inner voice does not come into picture. There was no exertion of will. So, where is the question of reward? Without giving an exam, one cannot claim the reward. Okay. So, in absence of temptation, there is no just claim for the reward. The next extract says, we fear but whom we hate or love. We avoid but those who repulse us or attract us too much. We never avoid those for whom we feel indifferent. Now meditate on this, what the master is saying here. He is speaking about human emotion, fear, its source, and how it may be overcome. Now it is surprising, fear can arise even from people whom we love or are attracted to. Fear. It can be due to fear of being hurt, or feeling of insecure or inferior, fear of displeasing whom you love, not being able to live up to their expectations. So, for so many reasons, there is a kind of fear even for those whom you might love. And of course, one may be fearful of people who repulse you because they might be domineering or menacing, they might be bullying, very intimidating. Okay, so fear of those people is quite natural to be there. But by remaining indifferent, indifference means by maintaining equilibrium of mind, you're not affected. Not having too much hate, not having too much attraction. They really don't matter. Their presence or absence doesn't matter. So by maintaining this indifference, then this fear can be overcome. As there is no fear, one does not feel the need to avoid these people. Only when there is fear, you tend to avoid them. That is what Master is saying here. In the next extract, Master says the greatest of all crimes, suicide. And Theosophy has been teaching this all along. We have studied deeply what are the states after physical death and how the different states take place, or the human soul is affected uh, depending on the way it leaves the physical body, whether it's a natural death or whether it's a suicide. So, suicide is a serious violation of the natural law of life and karma. Experiences of life, the physical life, which the soul has taken birth and is undergoing. Those experiences of life, they are required for the growth and evolution of the soul. By suicide, what happens is that very violently it severs this connection between the soul and the physical body, because it is not a natural death. And this happens even before the natural lifespan is completed. So, this defeats the very purpose of that incarnation, because every incarnation is there for a purpose. The soul deliberately has come to work out certain karmas or to accomplish certain work. So, before the purpose is achieved, that this violent severing happens between the soul and that physical body. So, suicide, it does not lead to escape from the misery or the karmic responsibility which was due to the soul. Okay? It is not an escape from the circumstances. Instead, it leads to a far greater suffering, a far greater battle in the afterlife. See, what happens when a person dies naturally? Then he goes into a peaceful dream-like state in the calm lok or in the astral world. Okay, and thereafter into Devachan. So there he is at rest and assimilates the life's spiritual essence into his causal being. But in suicide, what happens? It thrusts him into this calm lok, into the astral world in a conscious state. He is still conscious and he still possesses all his earthly passions and desires and mental and emotional pains, everything. Only that he does not have a physical body to work them out. So, this keeps the individual in constant suffering because he doesn't have a physical body, but he still has all those feelings and emotions and pains. And he is forced to remain earthbound for that period, which is equivalent to his natural unlived lifespan. The lifespan was cut short. So, whatever would have been his natural lifespan, for that duration, he remains earthbound and is constantly suffering. So, moreover, the suicide does not resolve whatever is the existing karma. And in fact, it is generating negative karma. And all of that the individual will have to face in some other lifetime, perhaps with increased hardships. So, therefore, Master calls suicide the greatest of all living crimes. Next, he writes, understand how great, how sublime is the role of one through whom thousands of minds are enlightened, their faith strengthened, and the immortal happiness of future life war ranted and proved by the best scientific minds with mathematical exactitude. So, everyone must have heard this comparison that man is like the Kasturi Mrig, meaning the deer who has musk in his navel, that is Kasturi Mrig. The deer, he runs everywhere searching for the source, for the fragrance of that musk, which is actually hidden within himself. So, man is like that. His innermost essence is actually the supreme divinity, whereas he is searching outside for that supreme happiness. The one who himself has recognized his inner divinity, he is capable of enlightening thousands of minds. Okay, so he himself should have realized his inner divinity. He is the master, guiding the ignorant to recognize their real nature and to reclaim their divinity. Such a master, he kindles faith that lasting and immortal bliss it does exist. Because we find that all the happiness in the world it is transient, it is fleeting. But master kindles that faith in them that lasting and immortal bliss does exist. He is the Guru. He dispels this darkness of ignorance and illusion from the minds of the pupil. And the Guru, he is so exalted that he is called the embodiment of Parabrahma himself. We have this shlok. Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Guru is Sakshat Parabrahma. He is embodiment of Parabrahma himself. So that was all in letter number 19. Now we move to this letter number 20. Letter 20 is also from Master Serapis Bey to Colonel Olcott. Date and place again is not mentioned. And the Master writes, I pray thee, brother mine, to take necessary steps to adjourn the meeting until Saturday, which will be sister has a labor to perform. Be friendly to the English seer Emma, for she is a noble woman and her soul hath many gems hidden within it. Begin not without our sister. Unto the regions of light I sent for thee my prayer. Serapis. Now, this English seer, Emma, who has been mentioned here, she is Emma Harding Britton, and she was a long time well known American spiritualist. She was a well known writer, a very good orator, and a trance clairvoyant. And she acted as a medium, a spirit medium. So she was present at the founding of the Theosophical Society in September 1875, and she was elected as its council member. So she was an important member in the early days of the Theosophical Society. Some of the meetings, in fact, were actually held in her house. Her presence was considered necessary for the formation of the society. So, very important or a prominent figure in the Theosophical Society. So, this Emma, she had a fallout with the founders, Madame Blavatsky and Colonel Olcott, over the authorship of a book. The name of the book was Art Magic. In that, that book she was bringing out, and she left the TS soon afterwards. So there was this some controversy about publishing of that book. Now, in this letter, Master advises Colonel Olcott to postpone a meeting, probably a TS meeting, to the coming Saturday, because Madame Blavatsky was occupied with some other work at that time. But at the same time, Master says that Colonel Olcott should be kind to Emma. There was a fallout between the founders and Emma due to publishing of some book. The controversy was regarding the authorship. Okay? Uh, some people said that this is brought out by the Theosophical Society with all the theosophical ideas, whereas actually she was writing it together through some other friend of hers who was a spiritual teacher or a clairvoyant. So, so Master is advising Colonel Olcott to be uh, kind to Emma. One, because she was a noble woman and she had many gems hidden in her soul, meaning many capabilities, spiritual capabilities, which would easily unfold. So, this does not allude to any psychic powers. Psychic powers, okay, they are the lower siddhis. She already displayed them. But it refers to the higher spiritual capabilities of the soul. They are the real gems of the soul, which have to be unfolded. And therefore, she could be very valuable to the Theosophical Society. See, if we look at it, such kind of capability, such kind of spiritual gems, what Master is calling, it is the potential in all our souls. Everyone has it. For some people, the time is already arrived and they are unfolding, and for other people, it is still a distant future. But sooner or later, the capabilities of the soul will unfold for all. So at this time, Master has asked Colonel Olcott to be kind to Emma because of her value. Now, on the back page of the letter was a note in Latin and Greek. Its translation is given here. So, that translation, it is like that. It is given on the back of letter 20. It is mentioned that under pretext of justice, a strict application of law is often the gravest injury, brother. Be gentle in manner, though resolute in execution. Can such wrath towards divine souls befit one fully proficient? In the name of Ablantabla, Semis Ilam. Now, this note, it is a great lesson for any administrator of any organization or institute. And Colonel Olcott was the president of the Theosophical Society. So it seems for some reason, Colonel Olcott would have dealt very severely with Emma. One reason we know might be due to that book which we mentioned earlier, publishing of that book. So Master is pointing out to Colonel Olcott that though he is adhering to the law, whatever were the rules of the society, the manner in which he is delivering justice, it is causing grave injury, meaning it is causing great harm to the interest of the Theosophical Society. So, how should he behave then? Colonel Olcott, he should be firm, but at the same time, he should be gentle. So these are the qualities a leader who's heading an organization as great and as big as the Theosophical Society should have. In the Manusmriti also it is mentioned. Manusmriti, it is the book attributed to Lord Manu, and it advises on the moral and ethics for man, for humankind, how man should live his life. So in that Manusmriti, there is a verse which says, Satyam bruyat priyam bruyan bruyat satyam priyam. Meaning, speak the truth. Speak what is kind or agreeable. Do not speak the truth in a way which is unkind. So you have to speak the truth, but in a way which is kind, which is agreeable. Same thing Master is telling Colonel Olcott. Colonel Olcott, he was very competent. He was a skilled administrator as the president of the TS. But such anger on his part, it was quite inappropriate as he was showing towards Emma. This is what Master says. So we too, we should examine ourselves. It is how is our behavior with others? Is it befitting our role and nature? No, the self observation each one of us must perform. Okay. And then Master signs off in the name of, and he writes in Greek at the end, in the name of, it means thou art the Father. Ablanta abla. Thou art the Father. And semis ilam. It means eternal Son. So eternal Son is what is referred in Theosophy. Okay, the central Sun from which all emanates. Therefore, he is the Father. The central Sun is the Father. That is how Master has signed off the letter number 20. So these are short letters. We'll move on to the next letter number 21. And there is a foreword for this letter, which is written by the author, that is the compiler, sorry, C. Jin Rajdas. And he writes, the short letter which follows is not in the narrow and pointed script of the Master Serapis. The script is round and large. It will be seen that the language is defective, so it doesn't look like Master Serapis has himself written it. On the other hand, the letter evidently refers to a picture of the Master Serapis, which is among these early letters, the picture of the Master. It is painted on thin paper and its size is 3.5 by 2 and 5/8 inches. It is drawn in pencil and painted with a brush in a brown, which is now faded. The background is blue. So the picture of the Master is very well described by C. Jin Rajdas. And the letter which is there, letter number 21, that language does not seem to be the Master's. Now, this picture, it shows an ascetic face. It resembles somewhat Cardinal Manning's with brown flowing hair and short round beard. This Cardinal Manning, he was the Archbishop of Westminster, the second Archbishop. Westminster, London, okay, in UK. Now, so that picture of the Master, it resembled somewhat to this Cardinal Manning. The Master, he wears a triangular jewel in the picture. Within it, a radiating sun surmounted by a cross. And at the apex of the triangle, a crown and stars. So, how the Master's face is painted, this is also clearly described here. And at the back of the letter, Colonel Olcott has written in pencil, what does he write? That found stuck behind corner of Apollo's picture, November 23, 1876. So the picture might have been around that time, and this note had been written on 23rd November 1876, meaning hardly a year after the formation of the Theosophical Society in New York. So, and further, Colonel Olcott writes, got a frightful scolding that morning because Judge handled the picture. So who scolded Colonel Olcott? Was it the master? Why did he scold? Is it that the picture was not to be shown to judge? Or had the master communicated or shown himself in person to Colonel Olcott, who was able to draw the picture of the master? So these things are not very clear, but that could have been the scenario. So this letter, it is also from Master Serapis Bey to Colonel Olcott. And the original of this letter, it is preserved at Adyar, at the national headquarters in Chennai. Now in this letter, Master writes, let us see what he writes in the letter. He says, patience, good friend, works miracles. Patience, severe teachers themselves will soften. I thank Mr. Olcott for the benevolent honor done my unsuccessful face. Unsuccessful face, he says, meaning it is not quite a resemblance. And then he has written his signature. He has done his signature in script. So in this letter, Master is impressing upon Colonel Olcott the importance of patience. Patience is the key. It is the key to overcoming obstacles and ultimately meeting success. It teaches persistence and perseverance in one's endeavor. Okay, then like a miracle, that which seemed impossible, that also gets accomplished. So, patience is required. Master Serapis tells Colonel Olcott if he persisted in his endeavor, then his teachers will eventually soften, meaning they will relent. They will relent to somewhat to whatever he wished. Perhaps they were unrelenting towards some request of Colonel Olcott, but with patience, if he kept at it, then they would relent to his wishes. Now, if you read in the Voice of Silence, patience is mentioned as the key to one of the 7 portals to wisdom. There are 7 gates or 7 portals to wisdom. Okay, patience is one of them. So, this highlights its importance in the spiritual journey. It is described as, in the Voice of Silence, it is described as Shanti, patience sweet, that naught can ruffle. So, it is a sweet patience. It is Shanti, that nothing can ruffle. That kind of patience is the key, one of the 7 keys to the wisdom. Then, at the end of the letter, referring to this picture that had been painted, which was described, with the jewel and the cross at the top, at that painting, referring to that painting, Master thanks Colonel Olcott. So it is clear that the painting was made by Colonel Olcott. Master is thanking him for that, considering it a benevolent honor. But at the same time, that picture does not resemble his face. He says, benevolent honor done my unsuccessful face. Does not resemble his face. So the key point in this letter is to understand the virtue of cultivating patience. Now moving to letter number 22. There is no foreword for this. Master writes, the lost one is restored in its proper place. The Gubers made it invisible out of malice. So this last one, it is referring to that Rosicrucian jewel of the 18th degree, which Madame Blavatsky had. It was in her possession. And later Madame Blavatsky had given that jewel to Dr. Annie Besant. That jewel is said to have belonged to Cagliostro. Now, the meaning of Gubers, it is not known. It is not there in any dictionary. And even on internet, it was not available. What is Gubers? Okay, it could perhaps mean some kind of lower elemental beings, mischievous spirits. Okay, so that is why Master is saying that the Gubers made it invisible out of malice. That jewel, it could not be seen by anybody, so it was deemed to be lost, supposedly lost. And it was the work of these malicious or the lower elemental spirits. I'm not sure what Guber means. It is not mentioned anywhere. but it could be such lower elementals. But more importantly, Master says, brother mine, he who cares for the opinion of the multitude will never soar above the crowd. So, this is the more important point in this letter, meaning that such a person will not be able to progress beyond them, beyond the crowd. In this context, I would like to call your attention to a folklore. Many of you must have heard it. Heard it. It is about a man, his boy, and their donkey, and they are traveling along the town. So it that story, basically that folklore, it illustrates the futility of trying to please everyone. So, as this man and his boy they are traveling to the market with their donkey, they are criticized by everyone whom they meet on the way. That how they are using the donkey. First, no one is sitting on him, then the boy sits on him, then the boy gets down, the father sits on the donkey, and then both of them get down, and finally, both of them carry the donkey on their shoulders. So, this was due to each passerby making these comments how they are using the donkey. So, taking cognizance of each one's opinion, the father and son they keep switching the arrangements of who will sit on the donkey, and finally they decide to carry the donkey. So, their attempts to please the onlookers, every onlooker, it fails. And ultimately, what happens when they are carrying the donkey on a pole? They lose their grip on the bridge, and the donkey falls into the river and he drowns. Okay, so the moral of the story is what the master is telling Colonel Olcott, that one must exercise his own discrimination. You need not listen to everyone, to everything that everyone is telling you. Listen to them, but apply your own intelligence. Take Apply your own discrimination and take decisions rather than trying to implement opinion of everyone. So that is very important. See how master has been giving pointers to Colonel Olcott so that he may successfully administrate the Theosophical Society as the president. So this is letter number 22. Next is again a short letter, letter number 23. No, this is not so short, but I think we can continue. So there is a foreword again written by C. Jin Rajdas to this letter 23. He writes that the document published next is not in the script of Master Serapis except the words translation correct and the signature Serapis. So again, the letter is not in the writing of Master, but only the last sentences. So the last sentence that is in red pencil at the bottom. And this document and the later regarding the Theosophist also from the master, they are in rounded script. Just like in the previous letter 21 we have seen, okay? They are in the rounded script of letter 21. That one also was in the handwriting of some pupil, not in the master's handwriting. Okay, so perhaps some pupil wrote it and the master only signed. So there were different ways of transmitting the letters, precipitating it through chelas. Okay, that was many ways were there of this transmission. And evidently, C. Jin Rajdas is saying that evidently some situation had arisen which necessitated paternal advice, fatherly advice, and it was given in the form of quotations. So Colonel Olcott, he writes in pencil at the back, appeared fastened to the wall of my room, August 16, 1876. So again, within a year of the formation of the society, society was formed in 1875, and in 1876 August, this note, this letter, it appeared fastened to the wall of his room when he was alone. Now, what is there in this letter 23? There are three sentences from Dhammapadam, one from Sutras, and these are the daily observances. So, four pieces of advice have been given by the Master Serapis to Colonel Olcott. And the source of these sentences is the Dhammapadam. Dhammapadam, we know it is a collection of sayings of the Buddha for moral and spiritual guidance. Okay, and the sutras for daily observances. So, the first piece of advice, Master says, he has given this quotation. He who hears his brother reviled. Reviled meaning criticized. Criticized abusively or in an insulting manner. So he who hears his brother reviled and keeping a smooth face leaves the abuse unnoticed, tacitly agrees with the enemy, as if he admitted the same to be proper and just. He who does it is either mouse hearted or selfish, or selfishness is at the bottom of his heart. He is not fit as yet to become a companion. So, what does this verse mean? It is simple and straightforward that standing by silently while a fellow member is being insulted, it is the same as agreeing with that insult because silence implies approval. Such inaction, it may stem from a lack of courage, that is being mouse hearted, lack of courage, or it may be due to self interest, that is the person may be wanting to appear better than his companion, okay, or perhaps he wants to gain favor in his own interest, so that selfishness may be there. Now, courage and selflessness, they are two important qualities on the spiritual path. But what is being displayed here? Lack of courage and selfishness. So, opposite vices instead of virtues. A person who lacks courage, who lacks selflessness, he is unsuitable to be a true companion on the spiritual path. Okay? In the golden stairs, it is mentioned a valiant defense of those who are unjustly attacked. So that is not done. That is not done here. Okay? So such a person is not worthy to be a companion. The next sutra says, revenge is sinful and throws the companion in the embrace of and power of Zahak. Now, in Persian mythology, Zahak is an evil king. This is Persian mythology. Okay, Persia is present day Iran. So, Zahak is an evil king, and he is depicted as having two snakes instead of shoulders. So, growing from his shoulders, two snakes. And those snakes, they have to be fed daily with human brains. So, that is Zahak. Now, a person who's seeking revenge, okay, he is as good as placing himself directly under the evil influence of Zahak because he is wanting the other person to suffer because he wants revenge. Revenge means you want to see that the person who committed the crime, he is punished, he is made to suffer. So it is true that that other person, he has caused some wrong. And so this feeling of revenge has arisen in the heart. But this feeling of revenge, it pollutes the heart. That is why I come back again to the golden stairs. It says, a person who's treading the path to divine wisdom. What should he cultivate? A courageous endurance of personal injustice. Even if someone has been unjust to you, instead of seeking revenge, because that revenge is polluting your own heart, you have to have a courageous endurance of personal injustice. Master says, he who permits his left hand to be polluted with dung. Okay, dung is dropping off the animal. So he who permits his left hand to be polluted with dung without immediately wiping it with his right cares little for the cleanliness of his whole body. What constitutes the integral parts? Of what is composed a human body? Of limbs. If one limb cares not for the appearance of another limb, is not Zahak ready with trowel and brush to blacken the whole? Such a companion is not ready to become a brother. So, here, each member in the group of aspirants, those who are seekers, each member in the group of aspirants is a companion to all others. He is an integral part of the whole. Okay, Master has given the simile of human body, the human body and the limbs to emphasize the unity of the group and the mutual responsibility of all members in the group. Okay. If one member falls prey to such evil, like seeking revenge, even if one member falls prey to it, then it leads not only to the inner corruption of that individual, but it is the collective corruption of the whole group. Okay. That is the importance of the unity of group. So, if our left hand becomes dirty, we immediately clean it with the right hand because both hands belong to us, they belong to the body. Likewise, each member is responsible to avoid and to prevent negative state of any other member. See, this is the mutual responsibility. This is the necessary quality of a true companion. If one cannot do this, then he is not ready to become a brother. Companion to brother. Who's the brother? Brother is the master of wisdom and compassion. If you don't have this feeling, this responsibility towards your companion, towards your co-disciple, then you are not ready to become a brother, a master of wisdom and compassion. So this is what Master is telling Colonel Olcott. So today we will stop at this point and we will have the translation in Hindi, and next time we will continue this letter. That is our letter number 23. Thank you.
Namaskar. Thank you, Bhaji.
हाँ, now
Thank you,
Shiva
Vimal
ji
ji.
will present the Hindi translation.
बहुत सुंदर व्याख्या की आपने। अब मैं उसका हिंदी अनुवाद प्रस्तुत कर रही हूँ। ये पत्र संख्या 19 से पत्र संख्या 23 तक का। मास्टर सेरेपीज कर्नल ऑलकॉट को लिखते हैं, मेरे बंधु, आप अवगत हो कि जहां सच्चा आध्यात्मिक प्रेम दोनों के शुद्ध स्थायी मिलन द्वारा स्वयं को दुगना सुदृढ़ करना चाहता है, ऐसी स्थिति में सांसारिक अर्थ में वहां कोई पाप या अपराध नहीं होता है। महान एनसफ यह एक हिब्रू शब्द है जिसका अर्थ है अनंत या असीम। उस एनसफ की दृष्टि में यह पुरुष एवं स्त्री सिद्धांतों की दिव्य पुनरावृत्ति है मात्र है। यह सृष्टि के प्रगटीकरण की प्रथम शर्त का सूक्ष्म प्रतिबिंब है। ऐसे मिलन पर देवदूत मुस्कुराते हैं, लेकिन बंधु, मेरे बंधु, यह दुर्लभ है। वे केवल लॉज यानी श्वेत सिद्ध संघ की बुद्धिमत्ता और प्रेमपूर्ण देखरेख में ही संभव है और उसको सृजित किया जा सकता है, ताकि इस मिट्टी यानी इस पृथ्वी के पुत्र और पुत्रियां पूरी तरह से नष्ट धर्मी या पतित न हो और उच्चतर लोकों के निवासियों यानी देवदूतों का आदम की पुत्रियों के प्रति दिव्य प्रेम दोहराया जा सके। लेकिन ऐसे लोगों को भी पुरस्कृत होने के पहले कष्ट सहना पड़ता है। मनुष्य की आत्मा अपने भौतिक शरीर के साथ एकाकार रहते हुए शुद्ध और उतनी आध्यात्मिक बनी रह सकती है। दो शरीरों में दो आत्माएं सांसारिक क्षणिक मिलन के बावजूद उतनी ही शुद्ध और फिर निष्कलंक क्यों नहीं रह सकती, ये प्रश्न किया है। अब पत्र संख्या 19 का सार प्रस्तुत कर रही हूं। मास्टर कहते हैं कि क्षतिपूर्ति यानी कर्म का नियम केवल उन लोगों को पुरस्कृत कर सकता है जिन्होंने संसार जनित इच्छाओं के क्रूर दंश का विरोध किया है। जहां लालच या प्रलोभन है ही नहीं, वहां उसकी भीतरी क्षीण आवाज का सामने करने का पुण्य व्यर्थ है और उसका कोई प्रतिफल नहीं मिल सकता है। बी, हम केवल उन्हीं से डरते हैं जिनसे हम नफरत करते हैं या प्यार करते हैं। हम केवल उन्हीं से बचते हैं जो हमसे घृणा करते हैं या हमें बहुत ज्यादा आकर्षित करते हैं। हम उनसे कभी नहीं बचते जिनके प्रति हम उदासीन रहते हैं। सी का सार है,
सभी जीवित अपराधों में सबसे बड़ा अपराध आत्महत्या है। डी, ये सार संक्षेप है। मास्टर कहते हैं कि यह आप समझें कि उस व्यक्ति की भूमिका कितनी महान, कितनी उदात्त है, जिसके माध्यम से हजारों मस्तिष्क प्रबुद्ध होते हैं तथा उनका विश्वास सुदृढ़ होता है और उनके भावी जीवन की अमर खुशी आश्वस्त होती है, जिसे गणितीय सटीकता यानी एग्जेक्यूटिट्यूड के साथ सर्वश्रेष्ठ वैज्ञानिक मस्तिष्कों द्वारा प्रमाणित किया गया है। पत्र संख्या 20। सेरेपिस बे ने एच.एस. ऑलकॉट को लिखा, मेरे बंधु, मैं आपसे प्रार्थना करता हूं कि आयोजित होने वाली बैठक को शनिवार तक स्थगित करने के लिए आवश्यक कदम उठाएं। सिस्टर एचपीबी को इस हेतु श्रम करना होगा। अंग्रेज भविष्य दृष्टा एम्मा, फुटनोट में लिखा है, एम्मा हार्डिंग ब्रिटेन अमेरिका की एक स्पिरिचुअलिस्ट थी तथा थियोसॉफिकल सोसाइटी के 17 संस्थापकों में से एक थी। मास्टर कहते हैं कि एम्मा से मित्रता करो क्योंकि वह एक महान महिला है। उसकी आत्मा में अनेक रत्न छिपे हैं। हमारी बहन एचपीबी के बिना बैठक प्रारंभ मत करो। प्रकाश के अधिपतियों से मैं तुम्हारे लिए प्रार्थना करूंगा। फिर इसी पत्र के पीछे भाग में लैटिन एवं ग्रीक में लिखा था। उसके अंग्रेजी रूपांतरण का हिंदी अनुवाद इस प्रकार है, न्याय की दलील के समक्ष महान सत्य भी अक्सर बड़ी गलती बन जाता है। मास्टर निर्देश देते हैं कि बंधु, व्यवहार में सौम्य एवं कार्यान्वयन में दृढ़ रहो। क्या स्वर्गीय आत्माएं आक्रोश या भयंकरता को पोषित कर सकती हैं? मास्टर लिखते हैं फिर, अबलांथाल ब्ला, दाउ आर्ट द फादर, तुम पिता हो। सेमेस एलम यानी इटर्नल सन या शाश्वत सूर्य। लेटर नंबर 21। सेरेपिस बे एच.एस. ऑलकॉट को लिखते हैं, मेरे अच्छे मित्र, धैर्य रखो। धैर्य चमत्कार करता है। धैर्य से कठोर शिक्षक गण भी स्वयं ही नरम हो जाएंगे। मेरी तस्वीर जो मुझसे मेल नहीं खाती, पर उस पर उदार सम्मान के लिए मैं श्री ऑलकॉट को धन्यवाद देता हूं। पत्र नंबर 22। जो खोया था वह अपने उचित स्थान पर वापस स्थापित किया गया। फुटनोट में लिखा है कि खोई हुई वस्तु रोजीक्रूशियन ज्वेल थी जो मैडम एचपीबी के पास थी, जिसे उन्होंने डॉक्टर एनी बेसेंट को दिया था, और जो कैग्लियोस्ट्रो की थी, जो एक मैजिशियन और एक एल्केमिस्ट था, जिसे ग्यूबर्स ने द्वेषवश छिपा दिया था। फिर अंत में मास्टर लिखते हैं, मेरे बंधु, जो भीड़ या आम लोगों की राय की परवाह करता है वह कभी भीड़ से ऊपर नहीं उठ सकता। लेटर नंबर 23। मास्टर इसमें कहते हैं, ये 16 अगस्त 1876 को लिखा गया, जिसमें धम्मपद के 3 वाक्य जिसको प्रतिदिन पालन करने के लिए कहा गया है। ये जो भी अपने बंधु की निंदा सुनकर शांत या सहज भाव रखते हुए निंदा को अनदेखा करता है, वह मौन रूप से शत्रु से सहमत होता है, मानो कि उसने उस बात को उचित एवं न्याय संगत मान लिया है। जो ऐसा करता है वह या तो कायर हृदय वाला है या वह हृदय की गहराई से स्वार्थ भाव से परिपूर्ण है। ऐसा मनुष्य अभी एक सहयोगी बनने हेतु योग्य नहीं है। इस लेटर नंबर 23 का सेकंड भाग है, बदला लेना पाप है, और ये अपने साथी यानी कंपेनियन को जहक, जो ईरानी पौराणिक कथा में एक आसुरी शक्ति है, वह अपने कंपेनियन को जहक की जकड़ में डालता है, जो अपने बाएं हाथ की गंदगी यानी मैल से अशुद्ध होने देता है और उसे तुरंत अपने दाहिनी हाथ से साफ नहीं करता, वह अपने संपूर्ण शरीर की स्वच्छता का जरा भी ध्यान नहीं रखता है। और असुर को यानी जहक को अपने फावड़े और ब्रश से संपूर्ण अवयवों को कलुषित करने के लिए तत्पर क्या नहीं होने देगा? इस प्रकार का साथी एक बंधु होने के लिए तैयार नहीं है। इस पत्र को बहुत अच्छी तरह से जो है वो उसकी व्याख्या की है विभा जी ने। ये यहीं समाप्त होता है। धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, Sushma ji, and thank you, Vibha ji, for a wonderful exposition. Lovely points, very interesting. आपने मनुस्मृति के बारे में भी बताया. It was very, very interesting. So now we can open up quickly for any discussions or additions. I'll quickly try to make a few additions that I noticed. First, in this couple of things, this last 23, when when the master is pulling out the word he is not yet fit to become a companion. And the word companion comes in the next one also. Such a companion is not yet ready to become a brother. My sense is that this is talking about being a good companion to Blavatsky, because we saw earlier that whenever there was friction, this master Serapis was coming to bring harmony between Olcott and Blavatsky. So, in a way, he's training Olcott to be a good companion for Levitsky. This is why this word companion is coming, according to me. Then the second point is about this painting that of Serapis that was found by Olcott pinned in his wall or something. At the corner of a picture, he saw a painting which was found stuck. So the letter 21 says that I thank Mr. Olcott for the benevolent honor done my unsuccessful face. My thinking is that Olcott must have done namaskaram or some sort of puja to that face, naturally, because he has been being taught by this teacher for the last 1.5 years. And these letters looks like in 1976. We saw the earlier batch in 75. So I'm assuming that Olcott did some kind of a worship to this letter. Other than that, I think it was all wonderful. And one small thing, like when we look at this Latin part, which says something about some term has come, ablanatha bala semis ilim, eternal son. Thou art the father, and then the word eternal son comes. It's good to know that Serapis Bey is the fourth ray master, and his planet is the planet sun. That is why that even that jewel in that picture has got this drawing of a sun. So just these small additions. And now we can request others to contribute. Shinde ji is there, Lakshmi ji is there.
স্পাই নহয়, এইটো হেৰি পুলিচে নজনা হৈ আহিছে আৰু।
Shinde ji, would you like to add something?
Yeah. Thank you, Vimal ji, and thank you, Vibha ji. Very nicely explained letter is very good. Here in this letter, what we must be always focus is the greatest crime is the suicide. It is from the social point of view, we must popularize this. Suicide is really crime. And the Vibhaji told the last lines from Buddha, how one can be a companion. Actually, our bodies, these three bodies which are given for the soul to live a life on the earth planet, these bodies are our companions. And how we act with the companion is very important. And that even we must not hate our mental body or astral body or physical body. Killing is a last one. So it is a greatest crime. One must think over this deeply. And Vibhaji has explained it very nicely. Even the letter was given to bring this actual message to the whole world. We have no right to kill ourselves also. In fact, we, the Theosophists, must say this. We must be a real companion of our bodies. Because we are soul, not our bodies. That belief is there firm in us, especially for the Theosophists. That is what I want to add. Thank you for Vibhaji, very nicely explained, and Vimalji always adds something which attracts our attention. Thank you. And
Thank you, sir.
Sushmaji also Hindi and very nicely explained. Thank you, all of you.
Dubal ji and Lakshmi ji is still there. Would you like to add anything? I also thought Vibhaji's suicide explanation was super. Jayashri ji has also immediately commented it was super. Really clearly explained what is the problem with suicide. With this clarity, I have not heard it before. So it was really beautifully said.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm praising you. You don't want to be praised, but a little bit I can praise you.
Thank you. I said thank you.
Vibha Saxena, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is Chandraprabhaji.
Okay. So I think we can close then. So thank you so much, Vibhaji, and looking forward to the next Friday continuation of letter 23. And let's all join together in the closing prayer. I just want to say this St. Francis's prayer, which is very inspiring for all. And I will close with this prayer. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring love. Where there is offense, let me bring pardon. Where there is discord, let me bring union. Where there is error, let me bring truth. Where there is doubt, let me bring faith. Where there is despair, let me bring hope. Where there is darkness, let me bring light. Where there is sadness, let me bring joy. O Lord, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that one receives, it is in self forgetting that one finds, it is in forgiving that one is forgiven, it is in dying that one awakens to eternal life. Om Shanti, Shanti. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.